Um, this is West Wednesday, week 677. We've been fighting nonstop, not just for accountability for my big brother Tyrone West, but for all the victims of police brutality and murder. And the reason why we're back here today is because this Saturday marks 13 years, 13 long years of no accountability. And I felt compelled to come see what I call the house of the killers, because majority of the men and women that took my brother life work and well they were working at the current time here, but then of course as years passed they always relocate them. We saw what happened to Abdul Bilal, the killers. They get placed on death duty to they so-called do their investigation foolishness and then they ship them somewhere to another district. But it's sad and sickening, but the fact that we still don't have accountability is very devastating to me. And the fact that I'm planning to bury another loved one that will never get to see accountability. I'm literally getting ready to have my aunt's funeral on next week. So we just suddenly just lost her. So another family member deprived of not having accountability. And this is disgusting. And then I thought, and I was real hopeful that when the new investigation started, when they finally deemed my brother's case a homicide, which we knew that already, but for us still not to know anything, that is the same thing. They're taking us way back 13 years ago when this all started at the hand of these animals. It is disgusting and it's heartbreaking. And to know that at the current time when my brother was slaughtered, Worthless Woolley was working right here. And he used to always come out and run us away from here. And now they got him as top cop. They got one of the first killers, Ruiz. They got him as a sergeant and he married the state prosecutor. So you see all the corruption, and then we wonder why we're not getting no type of accountability. So it's sickening and sad, but again, going on 13 years, y'all. That's a very long time. And I thought that when this happened back in 2013, that, hey, something's going to break. Give it a year or two. Then 2015 happened. Then the uprising happened with Freddie Gray. But we've been saying back in 2013, if you would have corrected those animals for taking my brother's life, right? We probably wouldn't have had a Freddie Gray to happen in 2015 because they would have sent a strong message that we're going to hold you accountable. You do something wrong, whether you wear a badge or not, we're going to hold you accountable. And it seems as though this badge that they wear covers them to do any and everything they want to do to us. And it's sad and disgusting. They're not holding back. They're not holding back. Every week it seems like it's someone in this city. And do you know the long, sad list that we read all the time? It grows longer. And I'm really afraid of what it's going to read, though we don't have nothing this week, but I'm really afraid of what it's going to read next week. And my spirits, I'm sorry, these gnats, flies, or whatever, but my spirit is really bothered right now for all the hate, like I said, and I talked about that last week, that we are experiencing right in our face. Like, I remember when, this has always been a racist world that we live in. It's ugly, it always brands its head. But the way it's ran its head now, I can't even speak upon it because it breaks my heart that big. Like, they used to have, like, sideway conversations behind closed doors. Now they slam up in your face, slam in our schools, slam in church, slam everywhere. Proud to be racist. Don't care. Standing their ground to be racist. And then with this economy being so messed up, it's so much. And it's like, I'm just like, I just wish my brother was here. And I just wish all the victims, loved ones that were slaughtered at the hands of law enforcement were here. Timothy Fleming deserves to be here. All of our loved ones, Anthony Anderson, the list goes on. All of our loved ones deserve to be here. And one of my sisters sent me a disturbing image today, literally, after her son was slaughtered on June 16th. May Derek rest in heaven. But after he was slaughtered, you see the officers literally doing foolishness, laughing and joking. What in the hell is so funny about taking a life? That's what we must ask ourselves. What is so funny about that? It's just like I said, a lot going on. Every time I turn the internet on, I see some type of racist foolishness that's happening in our face. Saying again, hey, your life don't matter. This is what we're doing. It is disgusting. It's disgusting all over. Literally. And I even thank God that today that BG&E foolishness, because they were having something that people had outstanding bills and things of that nature, but they were going to cut everybody's electricity off in these, but they're waiting for the weather to get cooler to cut people's stuff off. I feel so sorry for people that weren't able to pay their bills because they're skyrocket high. And it's hard for me that works to pay my bills because they're outrageous. These are not your normal typical bills. The amount that you pay for BG&E is like paying a mortgage. It's ridiculous. And so you have someone that many people that are on a fixed income that never saw these type of bills. And then now, with all this foolishness happening, where you can't get help from nobody, nowhere, right? And then you can't pay your bill, and then now they cut you off. And they wait, and they know what they're doing. You gonna wait. For one, I don't see no good time to cut somebody's stuff off. Like, not in the wintertime, but certainly not in the summer. Like, it is disgusting. But this is a definite capitalist system that does not care about nobody. Like, it doesn't care about nobody. Like, they could cancel your life insurance because of an illness. Like, literally cancel your life insurance because of an illness. You could have been paying all your life for your kids, and then you get an illness. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, well, we're sorry, we want to cancel you. You got to find somebody else. And then they know once they do that, now when you go to somebody else, nobody won't cover you. But meanwhile, your family's left to have to cover you while grieving at the same time. No one family should have to deal with this type of pain and foolishness. But it's real. These are our realities. And then I'm sick of hearing about babies dying every week right here in my city. Another poor baby. They said it was an accidental shooting where a 7-year-old girl was murdered, unalive. My heart goes out to that family, that child. Then the week before last, we had the 2 babies that were killed, and they still haven't found the suspect. But my point is, they solve whatever crime they want to solve. And the ones that they don't want to solve, they don't solve. But let's talk about solving my brother Tyrone West unalive. There's no reason why nobody is not held accountable. You're talking about 13 years they got to be with their family. They got to raise kids, have babies, do all type of stuff. Meanwhile, because my brother was riding black while living in America, in the United States of America, he was unalive for doing nothing wrong, no outstanding warrants, no drugs, no weapons, nothing. Sad day for you, Mr. West. We can have up to 20 men and women in uniform to take your life. And then we can have the top cop, worthless bully that was working here, that did nothing, and then had the nerve at a town hall meeting, and that's the part that rocked my life, and could have took my life. When he came out to say that when my brother's life was stolen, he was on that scene. How could you be on a scene as horrible as that scene was? You had one unarmed man brutally executed. And I can imagine that scene. I can imagine all the chemicals in the air to the point they never gave me none of my brother's belongings back, nothing. And this investigation been over years ago, then now it's going to be back. but we got nothing back. The only thing I ever got back was my car keys that they played games about. They literally, when they took my car, they lied in my face and said my car was on a drug hold. You're never going to see your car again. Sad day for you, Miss Jones. This is what's happening. And I'm like, at that time, I could care less because my brother's life was gone. You can't put a price on life. So I wasn't worried about that. But at the same time, I still needed my vehicle that I not too long ago had purchased back then in 2013. And I just needed to get around to figure out solving or getting some type of accountability for my brother. But meanwhile, they're lying in my face. They pulled me away from my family to lie in my face. This is how it all started, with lies. And it's been nothing but lies throughout this whole entire process. No transparency, nothing. Only thing we got is harassment, getting tires slipped, following us to work, doing all type of stuff. Like we're the criminals. We didn't unalive my brother. We didn't ask for this. We're doing the most American thing, if one must say, and that's using our freedom of speech, exercising it, and being thankful and grateful that in 13 years of West Wednesday have never ever had any type of violence where someone got hurt, where we just blew up something or tore up something. And I'm honored to say that. Because the way stuff be happening now, but that's not what West Wednesday is about. We're different people that come from different backgrounds, but we do agree that no one should be unalive. We do agree that this system is dirty to its core. That's what we agree on. And I just want to just give a big shout out to the West Coalition from the top. Because y'all been there from day one with my family. And miserable weather, good weather, happy days, sad days, but all the time y'all have been there. And not just for my brother, but for the many families in the community just being there as a resource. So I just want to give thanks to y'all. And also thanks to my family has been suffering from this and still suffering. It's to the point like we started this. This didn't start off with me or with a coalition. This started off with me and my family. Organized, hand in hand, out here, getting laughed at, talked about, threatened, all type of stuff, but we never wavered. But again, it's sad that any family goes through what we're going through. Even with Donnell Rochester, why doesn't she have accountability for her son, Danielle? She should have been had it. He had an 18-year-old baby, whole life ahead of him. Same district, right here, home of the killers. Took a baby life. You gonna jump in front of a baby's car, shooting. And sad day for you, no accountability. No, sad day for y'all. Because guess what? We're not going anywhere. We don't care how many years it takes, how many lies you set up there in our face and say and play. But at the end of the day, my family today, your family tomorrow. Your family today at the rate it's happening. And I don't wish this pain on nobody. This is not a club that nobody signs up for. My heart goes out to Dante Milton's family. You have a young man going through a mental health crisis that's man enough by the grace of God and by his strong, beautiful mother that said, hey, baby, it's okay not to be able to handle stuff. But if you ever feeling like that, get to the hospital. Mommy going, I got you, I'm going to be there. He man up. You know how much a strength it takes for a man to step up and step forward and say, hey, I need some help. And then you go to an officer that you're familiar with, that's familiar with you. And you get slaughtered in the same manner that happened to my brother. And no accountability. And then they do the same exact thing. They list him as a John Doe. Know who he is. I told y'all, his mother told y'all. He knew one of the killers very well. By name, they knew each other. And for him to be listed as a John Doe, for my brother to be listed as a John Doe, when my brother had all type of identification on him, he's driving my registered vehicle with my ID badge hanging up, my registration and my name. You could have gave me one quick call. Hey, Miss Jones, we want you to come down here and verify something for us. Nothing, no call, nothing. Because y'all be covering up stuff and y'all still covering it up. And it's sad and it's heartbreaking. And then for me to learn about David Keller Lewis from Morgan State, I ain't forget about him. He used to work around the corner, but when they got that fake Signal 13, him and whoever, Lottie Dottie and everybody, was able to come support their men in blue. Because it's supposed to be a code that means an officer in distress. Well, that day, the only one that was in distress was Tyrone West. The only one. My brother. No one called an ambulance, a paramedic, nothing. The witnesses tried to help them on Kentmore Beltway. They were threatened. Ruiz, as you see that we show you every week, he got up there and told them, get the F back in the house. The same thing can happen to you. F all. That's how he talked. But then you want to get up in court, articulating with your suit on, with your lawyer. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I don't recall. But you wasn't talking like that. You weren't talking like that when you had that bad boy energy. Get the F back in the house, F this, F that. You weren't talking like that then. But you come in a courthouse pretending, this fake persona. And the crazy part, it was victims leading up to my brother. When is somebody going to accept that they failed not only my brother, but the other victims? And you still failing us because nobody has been apprehended. Nothing. And then as we supposedly, allegedly have investigation going on, that by the way, nobody, no one, no man, no woman, no one have yet reached back to my family and said, hey, Miss Jones, I know this thing is taking a little long, but we're doing this, we're doing that. Nobody has integrity anymore. Integrity ran out the door. You can't even make a phone call, send a quick email. If you're that petty and you don't even want to talk, to use your voice. To be respectful, to use your voice to a family that's mourning the loss of, they didn't even get to mourn yet, but that lost their loved one. You can't even call me or send me an email and say, hey, Miss Jones, we did not forget you. We know a year been by, but this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're not going to do. Even if you said, hey, Miss Jones, we know we deemed it a homicide, but because so many years or whatever you want to say it. Don't play in my face. Say it. I'm grown enough to handle anything you throw my way. Y'all did the worst when you snatched an unarmed man that was a hard-working provider, working a 9 to 5, taking care of his family, and you snatch him for no reason. You snatch him out by his dreadlocks, and you treat him worse than an animal. And to this day, nobody has been held accountable. And again, I'll echo, while they're doing their so-called investigation, none of it's been transparent because no one's talking to me. I don't know anything. Did it stop? Is it still going on? I don't know. But I was so hopeful when finally David Fowler got up and testified in George Floyd unaliving. And it said that no matter if we go there every week with our signs, hey, we want to sell blocks for killer cops is corrupting, all this corruption, the medical examiner's office is playing a crucial role, investigate the medical examiner's office. You didn't listen to my family. No, y'all, turned your head. But as soon as David Fowler got on the stand, and I thank God, I believe his name was Roger Miller or Michaels or what, I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names. Please don't judge my heart. But Mr. Mitchell, I do know his last name was Mitchell. I think it's Roger Mitchell. But Mr. Mitchell, the black pathologist in D.C., that said, something's not right with this guy. Like, y'all need to investigate the medical exams of it. Then he went a step further. He showed all that foolishness to over 400 and something doctors, pathologists. And they all said, let me sign. So what you going to do? And I'm talking to Anthony Brown's office. You're going to fail 400 plus pathologists. You're going to fail 100 plus families, which, by the way, it should have been 1,000 plus families. Anybody on David Fowler's tenure that he did that to, they should have been included. For them not to be included is another smack in the face. So how many smacks in the face are you going to give poor families that are suffering when y'all can make it right? All this outside stuff, and that's all I beg for. Like, when all this stuff happened, everything that I see came to pass now. Like, I kept saying, oh my God, back then when my brother was unalive, if they had body cameras on, I stood up in City Hall. Harris, we want body cams. We want them on. We don't want them to turn them off. I'm looking at now with all the body cams, but they still ain't doing nothing. So that's something that failed. Completely failed. And that was something that I said, hey, maybe let's see what this is going to do. It did nothing. Even with the Department of Justice, when they was in here with the consent decree, they were still killing black men and women and people, white people. They were still doing police misconduct while they were in the city. Not like with the microscope, looking at them like, we're watching you guys, and they still doing it. They couldn't even ease up. Normally, sometimes when people doing wrong, you know your boss around the big higher ups, you going to at least get it together a little bit. They ain't even tried. That's how trifling they are. But again, Anthony Brown's office, Mr. Anthony Brown, what are you going to do? It's been 13 years too long. What are you going to do? I need answers. We've been saying that, wearing T-shirts and uttering that message for years. I need answers. It is not fair. But my family, nobody's family, especially for those 400 odd doctors that put their life on the line. Because you know, as soon as you step up, why do you think Commissioner Harris, when he stepped up, he got out of here? Once he put himself out there on blast, he got the hell away from it. He know how dirty they are. And I'm praying for his family too, because he probably get death threats, all type of stuff. He probably can't even get a job. He might be flipping burgers where he at. Who knows? This is how dirty this is. They blackball you. There's too much of that going on. They blackball you. And I'm gonna end on this, and I'm gonna pass the mic. But I remember when I first was unaware of all this foolishness, a family not knowing, just a family wouldn't answer. I remember attorney saying, hey, make sure you start driving different cars because they're going to start messing with your cars. Hey, make sure you don't go online and read the blog when they put something up about your brother, because those trolls get really mean and nasty. And I'm like, why would somebody say something ignorant and nasty about a dead person that was killed by law enforcement officers? Wasn't until I saw the vote, but they told me everything. Hey, Miss Jones, when your bills go up from 1% all the way up, like you giving water to the whole block, the BG&E bill enough for your neighbors before BG&E started going up here. My bill been high. This is what I've been experiencing. But it wasn't until I started fighting for accountability. And I know this sounds crazy because I was looking at them like they had an eyeball in the middle of their forehead when they told me. But don't be like myself and have to learn the hard way and see it on your own. Don't be like that, because then it's too late. Then it's too late. But I don't care how long it takes us. I'm not going anywhere. We're not going to stop until killer cops are in cell blocks. Mic check.
Mic check.
So I'm going to move up this way because I don't want to stand back there.
So normally I would talk about like what happened to me and my family in 2015, but I'm going to piggyback on what Tawanda was talking about, how they continue to fuck with you. Like they tamper with your mail, they they, do stuff to your phones. Like you can't even access her if you're sitting on her driveway. Like it's ridiculous. So like they jam stuff up by her house. Like if she's on her speakerphone in the car, I know as soon as she's pulling down her street because it starts breaking up or whatever. But on May 4th of this year, at 3:15 in the morning, there's banging on my door. So I'm like, what the hell? So I have cameras all on the outside of my house, so I can see before I reach my door. There's 4 cop cars out along the other side of the street because there's no parking on my street. So they were blocking the whole lane. And there's a cop on my doorstep banging on my door. So luckily I'm a night owl because I can't even imagine like being woken up at 3:15 in the morning like that. So I open my door and he points to one of my vehicles and he says, "Who's the registered owner of that truck?" I said, "I'm the registered owner of the truck." "Why?" He said, "Well, it was reported for a hit and run." And I was like, I pointed up to my cameras, and I said, "I can show you that truck has not left my parking pad in 12 hours. And he just like, he told me I was being recorded. He didn't tell me what his name was. But yeah, so like I'm just watching all these other cops like standing outside their vehicles, like staring at us or whatever. And a female officer comes up with a flashlight and she's going around the truck. And then she puts her hand on the hood of the truck and she says, "This truck's cold." There was actually it was like a cool evening. It was like actually kind of like a kind of frost on it because you could tell it'd been sitting there. She's like, "This truck is cold. This truck has not moved." And she's like, when did they say this hit and run happened? He said, "A half hour ago." She's like, "This truck has not moved." So now I'm pissed because why couldn't this asshole have done that before banging on my door at 3:15 in the morning? He don't know if I have elderly sick people in my house. He does not know if I have babies in my house. He doesn't know anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, my son has PTSD. He was held at gunpoint at the age of 12 by 4 police officers in my fucking basement. So they just do whatever the hell they want. So this was Monday, the 4th. On Tuesday, I met with Ryan Dorsey. And I was just like, what the fuck's up with this? And he immediately got on the phone with somebody at BPD headquarters and got on it. And because I was like, I need to know what I can do. So I submitted 3 pieces of paperwork. I wanted body cam footage from the one who was banging on my door. I wanted all of the officers' names in the 4 police cars that were on my street. And I wanted what they call a CAD, which is like when a call comes in, what prompted them to do what they did. So I submit all those paperworks, all that paperwork or whatever, and I get feedback from in quote unquote internal affairs that they can't find anything for my address. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting because I got video footage of 4 police cars outside my door. I got video footage of me interacting. I'm like, so I need to know how to escalate this or whatever. So the person that Brian Dorsey contacted at headquarters went through and found out there was indeed a hit and run, but up on Harford Road in the 6000 block. And these yahoos let a friend of the hit and run victim drive through the neighborhoods and just randomly picked out a truck and sent them to my house. And what they're supposed to do then, though, is they're supposed to put in the CAD system a change of address. We are now moving to this location. So this person down headquarters found it, but internal affairs couldn't find anything in the vicinity. So then on May 12th, I hear from Sergeant Charles Jones, nighttime supervisor here at this Northeast District behind me. He wants to come talk to me after midnight.
Wow, when he told me about
So I was like, okay, but I ain't coming up there. You can come to my house. I wasn't coming up here. He came to my house. Sergeant Charles Jones came to my house after midnight to talk to me about this incident. And then goes on to tell me that these cops did nothing wrong that night. Banging on my door at 3:15 in the fucking morning, right? They didn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, well, if they didn't do anything wrong, then they have training issues, because why didn't he do what the female officer did before disturbing my peace? And I said, and how do I know as a survivor that I'm not going to have a similar incident to 2015? You don't know what somebody's going through in any of these residences you are rolling up on. And you just think, oh, well, they were just following their protocol. Maybe your fucking protocols need to change, Sergeant Jones. Then on the 15th, I get a voicemail, which I should play it for y'all because you'll be like, what the hell's wrong with this dude? He's from Internal Affairs, Lou Tamaska. Also saying, they didn't do anything wrong, and this has nothing to do with your 2015 incident. Like, that's all in your head, lady. That's what these people are trying to tell you. Like, it has nothing to do with you having a prior incident or a prior court case, civil case against Baltimore Police Department. They will tell you that ad nauseum, like it's all in your head. You're crazy, lady. This has nothing to do with your prior incident with them. Which my prior incident was the GTTF. And 3 of the officers who were on Tyrone West scene were in my house, armed to the teeth, dressed in all black. We didn't even know they were fucking cops when they got in there. My son was going to run out into my yard to call the police because he thought it was people that were selling drugs and guns across the street, raiding, like doing a home invasion on my house. It was a home invasion, but it was by dirty cops. But this incident this year had nothing to do with any of that. They were just doing their job. So I'm just telling you, Baltimore City residents, according to Sergeant Jones and according to Internal Affairs, the police can show up at your door any fucking time, and you better answer the fucking door.
Yes.
Because if not, they're going to fucking kick it in.
Yes.
Even if they got the wrong fucking place. Because they do that shit all the time. They do that shit all the freaking time. But they're trying to say, oh, no, that's all in your head. It has nothing to do with your 2015 incident. And then Sergeant Jones is trying to tell me, oh, nobody here even remembers that. Well, guess what? I do. Guess what? My now almost 24-year-old son does. He's still in therapy for it. So, yeah, we remember. And you coming knocking on somebody's door at 3:15 in the morning before doing your due diligence is more than a training issue. It's a systematic issue.
Systematic.
It's a systematic issue where you all think you could do whatever the fuck you want on private property just to fucking harass people. And you can't tell me none of those officers have been at this district long enough to know what happened to me and my family in 2015. And I'm just saying, like, these people are clowns. Like, if you ever have to deal with internal affairs, I would tell you don't even bother. Just get a lawyer and do a civil suit, because you are never ever going to get any kind of accountability out of internal affairs. They are literally a bunch of joke of investigators that have as little training as the rest of these fuckers investigating themselves. There needs to be an outside entity that investigates any complaint against them. They should not be allowed to investigate themselves. Can you imagine if I rob a bank and then I can request that Tawanda investigates me? Like, I'm not gonna get off? Like, come on. Like, this whole system is a joke. It's a joke. And they will hinder you at any turn. They will harass you at any turn. They will do all kinds of stuff. Like, any given night, I can look out my windows up to Harford Road and see them sitting in private property, up at a funeral home, at a convenience store, just sitting there. And you know what? They're not thwarting crime, because that convenience store gets robbed on a regular. So what are they even doing? Sometimes they even sit in the back lot of the church next door to me. What are you doing?
Watching you.
Well, I know they're sleeping, but I'm just saying, like, how is that okay? How is that okay? And they don't make chump change. They make good money. Starting salary, I think, is like almost $60,000. And then they pull all that bullshit overtime. Yet, I have an application in with a job for the fucking city, and I had to go for a background check. Now, I also had to go for a background check and fingerprinting from the state police because I got my handgun license. Yeah, you hear that? I got my handgun license. And in fact, that May 4th incident happened right after it was issued to me. Interesting. But the state police had their background check and everything done in less than 2 weeks. I got all my documentation in the mail. I went down to central headquarters on June 10th for my background check and my fingerprinting. Now, I already have shit in the system for the state. I still do not have anything back from them.
Yes.
That is what is holding up my application. But none of this is personal, right? None of this is on purpose, right? It's all in my brain. It's all in my mind. I'm delusional. You didn't come to my house on May 4th, knocking on my door at 3:15 for a cold truck supposedly involved in a hit and run, right? Like, that's all in my mind. Like, nobody here knows about what y'all did to me. Though there was a shit ton of y'all in my house. There was 12 of you. 12 of you in my house, terrorizing my 12-year-old son at gunpoint in my basement. If he would have ran out into that yard, they would have murdered him. I have no doubt. As dark as it is back there, they would have murdered him. And then they would have had to murdered me. But I live with that shit every day, knowing that my kid could have died because they were trying to cover up their illegal activity. But y'all gonna block me from employment? You're gonna, like, try and tell me stuff is in my imagination? Nah, I don't think so. I mean, everybody knows how dirty y'all are. And y'all investigate each other. Y'all cover up for each other. You have each other's backs. And, like, at this point, I don't even give a shit if I get this job or not. I'm not going to be gagged. We went down and fought at City Hall to not be gagged, and I'm not going to be gagged. Y'all aren't going to tell me I can't participate in West Wednesday or any other thing I want to fucking participate in because y'all are going to freaking be trying to cut me a paycheck. Like, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Like, no, I'm not being gagged by anybody for no amount of money. And keep blocking shit and see what happens. Keep playing. Keep playing with us. Mic check. Mic check.
I'm scared to take this. She got it on fire, y'all. She got it on fire. But and just real quick, I wanted to 2 points. 2 points to back my sister. I remember when we had our like we were first starting with the West Wednesday and stuff, and my uncles they got together and they was going to do like a political um happy hour, and I remember they did it like somewhere in Northeast Baltimore. But interestingly, Killer Ruiz was literally he ran up in that night spot. I got the video, but of course, they blackballed the Baltimore Block. The Baltimore Block had that video on their page, but I got copies of the Baltimore Block stuff, so I'm gonna post that video when they ran up in there when my family was up in there, and I had just literally left. Within 5 minutes because something just told me get out of there. Ruiz came there talking about somebody had did a hit and run. It was a car accident, a hit and run, and then I remember the time when he threatened my cousin. Literally, he was doing something with hit and run case. He does accidental stuff. It just came back to me. So he's probably the MFer, because I'm trying to be neat, that literally sent them to your house. And they do stuff like that. Then I never forget when I got my gun permit, literally the state trooper showed him house asking me about a house next door. Foolishness. Like they do stuff like that to intimidate you. They know what they did and they know what they're doing. So they try to play us like we don't know, like we're delusional. We're not. We know exactly what y'all doing. And then it's interestingly that, as soon as we go to court for a serial killer that y'all wanted to keep and sweep under the rug to kill one of my loved ones that I believe that worked for you guys, then y'all want to start popping up at our house talking about car incidents, all this foolishness. We not going to stop fighting, y'all. We not. We're going to fight peacefully, but the truth going to come out. And if y'all keep doing what y'all doing, blackballing my sister, y'all going to have a big lawsuit on y'all hands. Trust and believe me. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I just want to point out, again, echoing Adina's statement that this system is a joke and we witness it every single day, not just in Baltimore, but around the world. As we're talking about some very serious traumatic things that have rocked people's world, their lives, changed them forever, that they'll never be able to fully recover from, we got one of our little local piggies enjoying the free show. And I think that's something that we have to keep hitting home, because the outside world sees how ridiculous the U.S. government is. And there are people affected by the U.S. government historically who see how ridiculous it is. But like Tawanda says, you shouldn't wait until it's you, until it happens to someone you know, until you're gone. Because at that point, you're already behind the curve. If you're not already taking the time to process and witness and hear people's stories and realize this is not occasional, this is not a one-off, this is not made up, this is intentional. Every single one is intentional, regardless of how they try to spin the story. We're not going to get much further if we keep having that divided sense of, oh, this person may be saying the truth here, or this person's making this up, or I don't believe any of this crap. None of these people make sense. That already puts all of us in a worse off situation, in a losing game. And just like how we have the police taking our lives for granted, not caring about us at all. ICE, always, just like the police, always terrorizing, always taking away the safety and community that so many people are trying to build, whether they've lived here all their lives or they just came here 5 years ago. Is the fact that we still have, every day, whether we realize it or not, people who are terrorized, who are killed, who are being disappeared, and we don't have the answers. Because again, they're not here to have a system where, okay, wrong is done, we're going to let you know what our process is. They clearly didn't do that for Tawanda. They're definitely not going to do that for workers who are immigrants that are already disenfranchised because they're not deemed worthy of the same rights, the same benefits. And that's something that, again, as we continue through the summer, it's going to continue. But just like how their violence will continue, our fight back, it needs to be persistent. It has to be ongoing. It has to be perpetual. Because as long as they exist, we're always going to have something to fight about. So we might as well get used to it. But not get used to it to the point where we feel cold or callous, because that, again, just like burnout, can ruin how you try to address these problems, how you address this fight. Starting to feel like
there's nothing being done. We can't get any further. Why do I keep trying? Because they count on that. They count on you feeling like there's no hope, that, hey, they're still going to be here, so you might as well bow down and just not say anything. No, we actually have to take that type of energy and transform that for all of us in all ways, that we remind ourselves, hey, we have people that we love, we have people that we care about, that we respect, and we're going to let them know we're not going to lie down and let them bulldoze everything that we are building, that we continue to build. I thought about this over the weekend because with my political party, separate from West Wednesday, we talked a lot about the state of the world, and especially the US, when it comes to not only police brutality, but disappearances and killings by ICE. Obviously, it's racist. We know that. But I feel like part of the dialogue that I want to encourage is realizing it's also sexist. We understand that when health is down, when money is down, when people do not have a safe, structured home, it's most often, not always the case, but most often the women or the females of the family that take the brunt of that responsibility to forge the family ahead. And just like how we had Lorenzo killed last week, just like how this week we had Johan killed, we have to realize these were working men. Whether they were born here or not, these were working men, husbands and fathers. Their families, their wives, their communities have to go on without them, where most likely, even before their untimely murders, they were terrorized, they were disenfranchised, they were being held back from just trying to live their lives and not cause any problems. So keeping that in mind, we have to realize, just like Tawanda said, it could be you. It could be you next for any reason. And they don't have to provide you a reason. They just move along. They just keep stacking the whole deck against us. And that's why I feel like our fight back has to be on all fronts. Just like they'll attack us on any front, education, mass incarceration, drugs and weapons, the literal media that we consume to normalize it and to feel like, oh, yeah, every now and then there's a bad cop, but eventually the system comes around and justice prevails. Those occasional Hollywood movies that show a case of wrongdoing, and then it's like, okay, we're actually trying to work the system now and show the accountability that we know we can fight for, because that's what this democracy is based off of. We all know it's a lie. It's another pacifier for workers who always know the truth or soon come to know the truth, because they realize this is not what we deserve. This is not what we need. The fight back has to continue. It has to be strong, and it has to be multiracial, multigendered, and international. That's the only way we can stop this. Otherwise, we are going to have the same thing in 300 years. The same thing, just different faces. And it has to end. We have to keep it going because they won't stop, so we shouldn't stop, because we can't stop until all killer cops are in cell blocks. Mic check.
Yeah. And it's interesting that we got this officer sitting there watching us, but we couldn't get one officer. One, where were you when Brooklyn Homes massacre happened? Were you the one doing it? Probably was. Like, literally, you gonna stand there and watch us. Like, you gonna really watch us. Like, really. Like, but that's the foolishness. But when they're supposed to watch, you can't find them. You couldn't pay. All they needed was one patrol car to show up at the event that happened every year for decades. For decades. Where Worthless Woolley said, oh, don't go show up at that. They know what they're doing. They trying to mess up black people's stuff. Like all the fights and stuff that be happening at the airframe, all this stuff that be breaking out, I blame all of them for it. Yes, I do. Because just like when I was walking peacefully, when Freddie Gray happened, I remember they sent the white agitator. We was all walking peacefully, and he kicked the trash can over, and we told him, you better go pick that up. We ain't doing that. Then what if they didn't know that we knew what to do in an incident like that? They was trying to get it started over there. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought, no. Yeah, you are sorry. Get away from us. Who sent you? And he want to sit up there and watch us. Mic check.
Mic check.
Anybody want to say anything?
Y'all stop playing that game and get on the microphone.
I thought somebody probably spit up coming out the killer's house. Looks like they got stick to their stomach.
Y'all police in that back line.
Yeah. I just want to say like a couple of words. Like,
I'm just thinking about like,
Move that way.
oh, my bad. I was thinking about like around this time last year, the thing that happened in Dwight Hawkins, and just like how it just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed under the rug. Nobody's trying to point the fingers where they need to be pointed at. Last city council hearing that I was at, Z Cohen made this like statement saying like, oh yeah, it's a systematic issue. However, me and Z Cohen are talking about two different systems. He was talking about a CAD system, which, as we speak, is not fixed. So, God forbid it gets hotter, the same thing is going to happen again. And there's still no accountability for that. Anthony Brown, I mean, some of the stuff he'll say it's a homicide, but nothing else happens after that. There's a lot of people sitting on their hand watching this happen, and then they got the nerve to sit in city council and pass amendments for ICE, as if it's two different things.
That's right.
It's the same thing, they just wearing different uniforms. Right.
And they all
So, yeah, so they got nerves to put up different Maryland doing like a whole thing showing like the history of lynching in Maryland, but not addressing the continuing of that tradition. They just want to centralize it, let kids be confused about it. And honestly, the thing that keeps replaying in my mind is Worthless Worley got the nerve to sit at W. Bolt in an interview, and he goes, mind you, while the gas prices and everything is going up, he goes, yeah, first it starts off with chocolate bars, but then they're gonna own a gun.
What?
Yeah, I was sitting there shocked because he leaped, jumped, hopped, however he got to it, trying to equate shoplifting to eventually down the line, because we keep funding the police and not funding our health problems, not funding people that need help in neighborhoods. Instead, is going back to the police just for them to come back on the street when we desperate and collect us. Maryland is okay with making money off of Black people, whether it's in death or in jail.
Exactly.
Right.
And they need to be accountable for it. We don't need a press conference. We don't need a signing of legislation that's not going to be enforced. We need actual movement. We need the dismantle of the whatever Bill of Rights that they have. Because mind you, the police in Baltimore have a different Bill of Rights of people in Baltimore that live here and pay tax dollars to them. So everybody need to get educated on that and push as much as we can, because the fight is not over. And yeah, that's all.
Mike check.
Mike check.
Mike check.
I can't put it on it. Yeah, that was powerful. Everything she said. But again, I'm gonna open it up to see if anybody want to make another last statement before we kind of wrap it up. All right. So before we wrap it up, I just want to invite everybody for this Saturday. Please join us at the Pill. Please join us. And you don't have to wait till Saturday. You can actually go tomorrow to see our exhibit. You can go all the way up until Sunday. But join us for my brother's 13th commemoration at 2 p.m. at the Pill on this Saturday. We'll be there from 2 to 4. And then from there, we're going to leave and go to Kentmore and Causeway. And I'm going to let up the balloons like I always do every year. And I always have to go there and still see no accountability, still see different witnesses that are still living say, oh my goodness, I remember what happened to your brother. They shouldn't have beat him. They shouldn't have did this. They did him terrible. I still see that. It's disgusting. And again, he want to sit there and watch us. Sickening. Go do your job. Go solve some of these unsolved murders. Do that.
No, sir.
Do that. So again, I just want to thank everybody for coming out, tuning in, and just remember, we won't stop. We can't stop until all these killer cops are in cell blocks. And then I'm not only out here for just the killer cops. But I'm out here to shut them down. But killer cops don't kill everybody. It's a lot of survivors. Like my sister, she's a survivor. She's a survivor. So we're out here for the survivors as well. Shorty is a survivor. The list goes on. We all are survivors. Think about how many times you done got harassed by the police and nothing got done and you just survived through that nightmare. It's a nightmare, but they not going to do nothing for us. There's no justice. It's just us trying to hold them accountable.